JHK here for Sportskeeda, and join me right now from Las Vegas is undefeated UFC bantamweight Jack Shore. Tank, man, it's been a long road to get to this spot right now that you're at. How you feeling?
Yeah, I'm good. Glad to be in Vegas. Glad to have another opponent in the third one this fight camp. But the spirits are high with me and the team, and we're just looking forward to getting to fight week now and getting the job done.
I know that you're happy to just have an opponent and to be competing, but man, Saeed, that was a great matchup, man. What are your thoughts on just losing that fight?
Yeah, it's a shame. Obviously, he's a prospect as well. I think it was a real clash of styles of two exciting fighters, and I know there's a lot of buzz about that matchup. A lot of people online were looking forward to it, anticipating it. What way we're going. I think a win there would have probably pushed me into a spot where I could have fought someone in the rankings. But it is what it is. I always show up to fight whenever I sign a contract or sign to fight on a certain date. I always make sure I'm on that date. Obviously, unless I'm severely injured or visas or stuff like that getting in the way. If I can get there, I'll get there. So, I would have loved for it to be inside, but whoever it is, as long as I got an opponent, then I'll still be there and I'll still put on a show.
Definitely, and a lot of fighters have been running into these visa issues. Like, what was your situation? Was it difficult to get your visas all situated?
So I had the issues the end of last year. I was meant to fight in Vegas in November. And with the COVID and everything, I got my visa, but it took a little bit longer than expected. And then the UFC couldn't match me in time for the show. And to be honest, my body was just at breaking point. So obviously that was why my fight in November never went ahead. But obviously for this one, I had my visa in November, so I was able to come out here in April and fight. And obviously when they moved it from London to Vegas, I knew it wouldn't be an issue for me because my visa is valid until October, I believe, of this year. So I knew that it wouldn't be no added stress because it was just a case of me getting a flight booked because I have that visa already in my passport, thankfully. But I know a lot of the UK guys are having issues. I think it's just, it's not that they can't get a visa from what I can make of it. It's just because of COVID and the delays at the embassy and stuff like that. It's not a normal time we're in. But, thankfully I didn't have to go through any of that for this one.
Definitely, man. And probably when October comes around, you're probably going to have to just go to the embassy and get a visa automatically, right? So you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, so I think basically how it works is when the visa's up, the UFC will then obviously contact the embassy and say, look, my visa's expired. And it's just a case then of getting an appointment booked in with them, getting up there and getting it. Because I've had a visa, I would assume it'll be an easier process because I would have previously had a visa. So it would just be a case of me renewing mine. But who knows? These things are never straightforward. There's always a complication somewhere. But I'd like to think it'll be simple again next time round, just because I've obviously got one and it's just a matter of renewing it.
I'm hoping so, man. And you started, like we said earlier, with Saeed. Then he pulls out. You get another opponent. He pulls out within, I don't even know, like a day or something. And then now you got a guy, Liudvik. But when did you find out Liudvik was your new opponent? Because were you flying? Did you just land and they told you?
Yeah, so going to the Georgian guy, then he accepted the fight. We got booked with him basically Saeed pulled out about 2.5 weeks ago. We got booked with the Georgian guy then about a week ago. It took him a week to find an opponent. And then, so I landed in Dallas Airport, so it would have been Wednesday afternoon. And we landed to a text from my manager to say that this guy's pulled out, which was surprising because they said he was injured. And I don't know how you pick up a severe injury like that at that stage before a fight, but that is what it is. I'm not gonna get wound up or caught up in all that shit. If he's injured, he's injured. If he's not, he's not. So then I text my manager back and I was like, look, I'm out here now. I need a fight. I need a fight next weekend. I need the date to stay the same because I've come out here and planned everything so that's the date I'm fighting on. I said, look, I'll fight at a catch weight. I'll even go up to featherweight and fight as long as I get a fight. And he was like, look, let's just give me a couple of hours and let me know. And literally within the hour, I had Liudvik sent me. That was the name. And he was like, you good with this guy? And I was like, you know me. It's like, I'm good with any guy. You give me any name. I was like, just get me. Tell them, just tell them to send me a contract, and whoever's on there, I'll sign the contract. So, much respect to Liudvik for stepping in on short notice. The don't get me wrong, there's a lot in it for him as well. Obviously, he gets his shot at the UFC contract and, coming off the Ultimate Fighter. But, there's not many guys willing to take a fight on a week's notice. So big respect to him for stepping in and meaning that I still get a fight,
Yeah, definitely a lot of respect to him. Ludwig was on the Ultimate Fighter. Have you been watching the episodes?
I watched the first few, so I managed to watch his first fight where he won the decision. Obviously, I sort of lost interest in it a little bit just because, it wasn't the best series out of all of them. But I didn't watch his second fight at the time, but obviously now I've matched him. I've gone back and watched that as well. So I've watched two of his Ultimate Fighter fights and a couple of things online.
I believe this is your first fight in Las Vegas. It's the fight capital of the world.
Second.
Oh, it's your second?
Fight.
Okay, it's your second fight. My bad. So, the vibes of Las Vegas, do you feel them? Do you feel that, like, fight capital of the world vibes when you land?
So, last time I didn't feel it because, obviously, there was still the COVID. I think Vegas was still pretty much locked down, apart from, obviously, like, the UFC were doing events. But it was all, like, everything was locked down. There was social distancing and masks and everything was pretty strict. Whereas this time, I noticed as soon as I landed straight away, on the way to the hotel, we were driving past Manny Pacquiao and Ugas posters. We were driving past UFC posters on the side of hotels. The streets were fully packed, the pools were packed. So it definitely has more of a Vegas feel to it this time. I'm feeling like I'm in Vegas this time. Whereas last time, because it was literally like we're in the hotel, we go to the PI to train, we come back to the hotel. There was no chance to see Vegas and experience Vegas. But where I'm staying now is quite near the fight hotel, quite near the Apex and the Strip. So it's got that Vegas feel to this time a little bit more, that's for sure. And we're hoping to go and catch the Woodley and Jake Paul fight Sunday somewhere in the Strip. So we'll get a good feel for it then. I'm sure it'll boost the adrenaline ready for fight night.
For sure. And I wanted to jump into your last fight versus Hunter Azure. You went to the decision. It was a split decision. I feel like split decisions are the closest point you could get to losing a fight. I wanted to get your thoughts on the performance that you had and the result.
Yeah, I mean, it was a split decision, but I think the only person that scored it for him was that judge in the night. Based on like online comments and speaking to some of the UFC guys and the PI staff this time round, and they're all saying the same thing. I mean, I thought I won all 3 rounds. I could see even a 2-1, maybe him scoring the second round. But how the judge managed to score him 2 rounds is ludicrous. And what it's like with decisions, everyone has their opinions. But with this one, like online, I didn't see one comment, one tweet, one shade, like saying I deserve to lose that fight. Every single person was like, how the hell was that a split decision? But I was overall, I was happy with the performance. It was good to show the level of wrestling I've got. I was fighting a so-called wrestler, and going into the fight, a lot of people were saying, how's Jack going to cope against someone he can't take down, and how's he going to cope getting took down? Well, it turned out I took him down multiple times, and he didn't take me down once. Plus, I had the better of him in the striking exchanges and the grappling exchanges. So it was a good performance overall. Obviously, there were things I could have done better. There were things that could have gone worse. So it was a good experience to go the distance in the UFC, and but I was happy overall. It's just one thing it has taught me is when you're fighting in Vegas, you can't leave it to those judges. You can be damn sure you've won a fight, and you still see it week in week out. These guys are getting robbed. So this time round, I'm coming to finish. I'm not even letting the thought of a decision enter my mind.
Now, the last time we spoke ahead of your fight, you were training pretty isolated with just your team. Is that the same situation heading into this fight?
No. So fortunately now in Wales, the gyms are back open. I'm not training with many more people to be honest. Like I've still got my main training partners. We've got the pro team and a few of the amateurs that are high level jump in and give us rounds as well. So it's not like I'm sparring, the average guy who just pops in the gym. I'm sparring my main teammates. It's just we're fortunate now that rather than say a bubble of 5 like I had to do last time, or a bubble of 4, I think it was this time round, there's like 10 to 15 of us pro guys on the mat, so I can use more guys and more bodies to train for certain styles. Not in matter anyway, because I've had like 2 pullouts since, so the sparring I did do for this fight is for a completely different style anyway. But yeah, it's been much better, to see the gym open, thriving again, to see the mats full, and to see all the boys, that I train with that I didn't really get to see the last time round, and keep the morale high in camp. It's been good. It's been a really enjoyable camp.
with this upcoming fight, you know, you mentioned that you train for Saeed, that kind of style, but nowadays it's like, you know, you've been through it twice now where the switch is going on. Do you have to kind of put that in your mind and say maybe the next camp you can't really train for an opponent? It's just like I gotta just train for myself and just go out there and whoever I fight.
Yeah, like, to be honest, that's how I mainly do my camps anyway. Obviously with Saeed, he's got a style that you don't see every day, you know, like the spinning attacks, the unorthodox kind of stuff, the flashy stuff. So I still done what I usually done, you know, but it's just a matter of case of this time I had the guys throwing those spinning attacks and those jumping kicks at me. But, you know, I've done thousands of rounds with guys who've tried to take me down, who guys who I've tried to take down. And, you know, we've got a good variety of styles in the gym. So even with all the pullouts and the change of styles, I still feel confident going into any fight. You know, as much as I think you need to take note of your opponent's obvious strengths and weaknesses, I think it's getting more to the point now where with the pullouts, especially in the current climate with COVID and stuff like that, like you said, you could have an opponent change a week before a fight like I've had. So you need to be prepared to fight any style. And that's why along with my MMA rounds, I do my specific striking rounds, my specific wrestling rounds, my specific grappling rounds. So although my opponent may want to strike with me or may want to wrestle me, I'll have sharpness in other areas as well. You know, I don't just focus on one thing. So, you know, it's obviously worked out well this time because with the multiple changes, it means that I'm ready for any style.
Yeah, definitely. And Liudvik, you know, if you watch his fights on the, you know, the Ultimate Fighter, he's a wild man. So what do you expect in this fight from yourself against him?
I expect him to obviously just based on his Ultimate Fighter performances, he loves a lot of forward pressure. He obviously he likes to wrestle. I mean, you've seen in his first fight, he was getting pieced up on the feet. He managed to turn it around with some wrestling. And you know I think he's going to try and it's going to go one of two ways. You know, he's going to try and walk me down and put his hands on me and then look to take me down. That's how I see it going. But if he just comes forward reckless with pressure, then I think I'll get to show off some of the high level striking I have. I've been working this camp. I've been obviously because the gyms are back open. I've got to work back with my Thai coach again for 12 weeks, and my Thai boxing, my knees, my elbows, all feeling really sharp. My feints. So if he walks forward carelessly, then I look forward to showing off some of that. You know, if he wants to wrestle, then I'm confident that I can out wrestle and grind anyone in the division. I mean, we'll see how it goes. It's one of those fights like we just mentioned. I'm going in there looking at it as a blank canvas. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to stamp my ground and I'm just going to take the fight as it comes. If he wants to just come forward reckless, then I can put some shots on him on the feet. If he wants to wrestle, then we can wrestle, and I'm confident I can beat him there as well. But you know, he's no walkover by any means. But I just feel like I'm a different level in all areas.
Your father, Richard Shore, he's been vocal about the lack of coverage in your home country. Does that bother you too, that they don't focus on you as much as they should?
It does a little bit. I mean, look, it definitely winds him up more than it winds me up. But it is a little bit annoying because the amount of, you know, rubbish I see these sites sharing and the stuff they do just for clicks. And then you've got guys like me and Mason Jones who are, you know, we come from some of the smallest towns in the valleys where there's drink, drugs, unemployment. You know, the odds are stacked against us, and we are fighting in the Premier League of MMA. You know, less than 1% of people who sign up to an MMA class are ever going to fight in the UFC. Yet it's as if they want us to go to them and ask them to do a story on us. And it's just like the only time I ever hear off the BBC or anyone like that, it's fight week when they know they're going to get the most clicks. And you know, I've had times where they've come and done some filming and then they've released it 12 months down the line. And it's like, you know, they want to do everything they want you to put everything on a plate, and I just feel like sometimes they waste my time in the sense of they want me for an hour fight week when there's other things I could be doing. And you know, there's other members of the MMA media that have been a lot better to me, a lot more loyal to me, give me a lot more exposure, a lot more courage. I could be giving my time to those guys. Why should I give it to people like that when, you know, the fact of the matter is they're only doing it this week because they're going to get clicks and shares and likes off of my name. So it is annoying, but look, that's the world we live in, unfortunately. The social media era, these companies, they want to do what they can do to get the most clicks. When I'm a top contender and on the verge of fighting for a title, they'll want to know then, and then that's when I'll be telling them, look, on your bike, there's plenty more people I'll give my time to, you know, yourself, you know, the Irish guys, Pete and Niall, Alex Bain, and, you know, there's plenty of guys that have been good to me over the years, and I'm just looking at it now as, look, I'm going to be very selective from now on of who I give my time to and when I give people my time. So my old man will continue to get wound up by it, I'm sure, but I'm just looking at it with like a level-headed approach and think, right, noted, you know, next time they come knocking to do something, I'll tell them where to go.
Definitely. Shout out to your father, man. You need a guy like that in your corner, man.
For sure.
Right, for sure. And, you know, with that said, do you think there is an advantage to being an American fighter, you know, fighting in America and being in America, you know, with coverage?
Without a doubt, in that sense, like, so to just like give an example, and when we flew out here on Wednesday, so at London Airport, Heathrow, obviously because of the checks and everything, you can't just fly to America now like you normally could. So they have to ask you why you're going, where you're going. So when I'm trying to explain to them that I'm fighting in the UFC, probably less, like say 1 in 10 people may know what that is. You know, they look at you stupid. Yet then you land in America and you go through customs and they hear your accent. They're like, what are you guys doing here? And you're like, oh, I'm here for the UFC. And they're like, damn, well, you're fighting in the UFC next weekend? And then they start reeling off their favorite fighters. And it's like, it's so much more well known over here in America. Like, people look at UFC over here how they look at the English Premier League in the UK. You know, people in the Premier League, they can walk down the street without getting swarmed and asked for a photo and kids want to chat to them. And it's a shame, you know, that the UK haven't clicked onto that yet. The only person they really sort of want headlines about, or you see headlines about, is Conor McGregor. And again, a lot more of that is like the negative stuff. They don't want to mention when he's giving money to charity, or they didn't really mention him on his come up. They just want to mention him now when he's in trouble. And I don't know, it seems a lot more negative, in my opinion, the media in the UK to what it is over here. And like even now, like we've got the TV on by here, and earlier there was like a couple of UFC shows on. The weigh-in show was live on ESPN. It's like, that's something you never get in the UK. You never see that in you know, on Sky Sports. BT Sport, in all fairness, are doing a good job of getting us a lot more coverage. So shout out to like Dan Hardy and Nick Pete and Adam Cartrell and those guys. That they are doing awesome with it. But like the mainstream media in the UK, they just don't want to know. And you know, I think we're a long way away from us breaking into the mainstream in the UK yet. If someone like Conor McGregor can get hardly no coverage, then what hope of the rest of us got?
Definitely. Well, you know, you're one of the guys that are on their way to changing all of that. You know, you and you know, the rest of the crew that's coming up, the prospects and everybody. Now, one last thing, man. You know, I got to ask you about the title fight coming up, UFC 267, Sterling versus Jan. Sterling's returning from a neck injury, right? He's got his neck all repaired. I feel like that's what he said was kind of hindering him in the first fight. What did you see in the first fight that was good, and how do you feel about the rematch?
I mean, like you said, it comes down to whether that neck hindered Sterling's performance. I think what he did do well that people maybe are not giving him credit for, like especially the first and second, he applied a lot of pressure, and someone like Peter Yan, who's such a high-level striker with such good angles and so many varied attacks, you can't give him space, obviously, because that's when he gets off them kicks, them sweeps, the fast stands. You've got to sort of be in his face, and I think Sterling did a good job in the first round, but I think he could have been a little bit more like calculated in how he put the pressure forward. Like, you see Khabib fight then, he's not just recklessly coming forward, you know, putting pressure on. There's a method to the madness. The only thing that was a little bit worrying was sort of when Sterling couldn't get the takedown, there was no plan B. You know, there was no, like, you know, his striking looked levels behind Yan. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, Yan's an elite level striker, but it would have been, you know, I'd like to think this fight he'll come in with a level of striking that perhaps he can hold his own a little bit more, or he's not just going to come out and look for, excuse me, for that pure, you know, just look to shoot. I think he needs to come out and use his striking and surprise Yan a little bit there to sort of open up those takedown attempts. I mean, with Yan, it was going the way it looked like he was going to get finished. I mean, he defended every shot pretty much. He was doing damage on the feet, and it looked like Sterling was getting tired and he was close to the end. So, you know, I'd expect it to go the same way this time, unless Sterling was severely compromised by that neck last time, and perhaps his wrestling will be a lot better this time now that he's not injured. Who knows? But if I had to bet, I would probably go with Jan.
All right. Well, September 4th, man, UFC Fight Night Las Vegas. Jack Shore is back in action. Thank you so much for the time, and we'll catch up soon, man. Again, you thinking you're gonna come back one more time for this year?
We're gonna need we'd like to. Obviously, we got to chat with I know I've got to isolate and stuff when I go home because of COVID, and I've got a holiday booked with my girlfriend in November to Mexico. So hopefully, if that goes ahead, maybe it'll be next year because we haven't been on vacation for maybe 2019, like July of 2019 was the last time we went. So I think she'll kill me if I don't take her on this one, and you know, and the world allows us to go. If that gets cancelled, you know, I'll have to get another one in. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. If I can get back in there and I'm healthy and able to do so, then of course I will.
Yeah, that's the worst opponent to have mad at you, right? Is your girlfriend.
Listen, she's more scary than any of my opponents when she's mad. I can tell you that much. There's no way I'm telling her, look, we're not going on this holiday. So we'll see what happens.